people are more likely to live together in peace and harmony. Where the rule of law is respected, communities are strengthened and development becomes possible. This is why the work of the legal profession is of particular importance to us as traditional rulers. We have a shared responsibility to promote peaceful coexistence, protect the dignity of our people, encourage dialogue, and contribute to the stability and progress of our nation. Distinguished members of the bar, the annual general conference comes at a time when Nigeria is passing through a period of considerable challenges and transformation. Our nation continues to grapple with the question of security, economic development, access to justice, institutional strengthening, social cohesion, and the welfare of our citizens. In addressing these challenges, the role of the legal profession cannot be overstated. The Nigerian Bar Association has a responsibility not only to defend the right of individuals, but also to contribute constructively to national conversations and to strengthen of institutions upon which our democracy depends. I therefore encourage members of the bar to continue to uphold the highest tradition of integrity, professionalism, fairness, and service to humanity. The law must remain an instrument of justice and social order. It must protect the vulnerable, provide avenue for peaceful resolution of disputes, and give every citizen confidence that justice can be pursued without fear or favor. I also urge the legal profession to continue supporting greater access to justice, particularly for ordinary Nigerians who may lack the resources or opportunity to adequately defend their rights. Distinguished delegates, I commend the Nigerian Bar Association for providing this important platform for reflection, professional development, intellectual exchange, and national engagement. A conference of this nature should go beyond deliberations within the legal profession. It should generate ideas and initiate capable of making a tangible contribution to the peace, security, justice, and development of Nigeria. I particularly encourage the younger generation of lawyers to see the profession as not simply as a means of livelihood, but as an avenue for service and leadership. The Nigerians of tomorrow will require men and women of knowledge, character, courage, and integrity. The legal profession is unique position to provide many of such leaders. As traditional lawyers, I have always believed that peace is the foundation upon which meaningful development is built. Law and justice are indispensable instruments for achieving that peace. It is therefore my sincere hope that the bar will continue to be a strong partner in promoting dialogue, reconciliation, justice, and peaceful coexistence across our diverse communities. The diversity of Nigeria should be regarded as a source of strength rather than division. Our different ethnic, culture, religion, and regional identities should never prevent us from recognizing our common destiny as Nigerians. We must continue to build bridge of understanding and ensure that justice, fairness, and respect for one another remains at the heart of our national life. On behalf of myself, the people of Borno Emirate, and the traditional institution under my leadership, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the leadership and entire membership of the Nigerian Bar Association for convening this important annual general conference. I pray that your deliberation will be guided by wisdom, understanding, mutual respect, and a sincere commitment to the advancement of your profession and the greater good of Nigeria. May the Almighty Allah grant Nigerian Bar Association continuous strength and wisdom to discharge its responsibility with honor. May He grant our legal practitioners success in their noble service to justice and humanity. May He bless our traditional institutions our leaders, our communities, and all the good people of Nigeria. And may Almighty Allah continue to grant our beloved country peace, stability, justice, unity, and prosperity. With these words, I extend my royal felicitation and the very best wishes to the Nigerian Bar Association for a successful, memorable, and fruitful annual general conference. Long live the Federal Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you, and may Allah bless you. Thank you. So thank you very much. For the benefit of most of us here, my name is Abubakar Garbai Al-Khalimi, the 20th show of Borno. My kingdom, Borno, is an empire which has been in existence for over 1,500 years without any interruptions. And especially myself and my predecessor, we are not new to this part of the country. My predecessor, the late Show of Borno, was the Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt for a very long time. Myself also, I was a Chancellor of Nigerian University, Yanagwa, Bayelsa State, for some time, especially during the reign of Governor Dixon. And currently, I'm the Chancellor of the University of Lagos, and I'm the Chancellor of the Nile University, Abuja, on top of others. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, His Eminence, the Sheikh of Borno. We are grateful, sir. It's such an honor to have you with us. Before we call the next speaker for his goodwill message, I would like to quickly recognize the representative of the Honorable Minister of Defense, one of us, Aliyu Anas. You're welcome, sir. Also, let us welcome the former FIDA Country Vice President, Chief Mercy Agamosh. You're welcome, ma'am. In the same vein, let us welcome the former Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, who is here with us, Josephine Anine. Can we make her welcome, please? It is now an honor and privilege to make welcome the Chief Judge of Rivers State, my Lord, the Honorable Justice Simeon Amadi, for his goodwill message. Let's make him welcome, please.
Let me correct an impression. I'm here representing the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and the goodwill message and to deliver is by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. The Chief Justice of Nigeria sends his apologies. He was prepared, ready, and to be here, but unavoidable circumstances made it impossible for him to be here physically. And he has directed me as my boss to deliver this address on his behalf. The person you will be seeing physically is Honorable Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, the Chief Judge of Rivers State. But what we'll be hearing is the message from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudarat Montgomery Olatokunbo Kekere Eku. Your Excellency, George Weah, former President of Liberia. Your Excellency, Sir Similaye Fubara, GSSR, Governor of Rivers State, and members of his entourage, members of the Federal Executive Council, members of the National Assembly, His Eminence, the Sheikh of Brunei, Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Ibn Omar Garba Al-Kenami, CFR, President of the Court of Appeal and other Justices of the Court of Appeal present here, past President and past Secretary General of MBA, incoming President of MBA, learned senior advocates of Nigeria, members of the body of benchers, chairmen of branches and secretaries of MBA, members of the armed forces, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure to join you virtually at this year's annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. I congratulate the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe SAN, the National Executive Committee, the Conference Planning Committee, the Local Organizing Committee, and the entire Nigerian Bar on the successful organization of this important gathering. At the onset, permit me to extend my warm congratulations to Mrs. Oyinkosola Badajo Okusoya, SM, on her election as the 33rd President of the Nigerian Bar Association. Her emergence as the first elected female President of the Association is a significant moment in the history of our profession. While it is noteworthy that she's only the second woman to lead the association, I believe that her victory should, above all, be understood as a reflection of merit, competence, experience, and the confidence reposed in her by members of the bar. Her election demonstrates once again that excellence and capacity should remain the principal consideration in choosing those entrusted with leadership of our profession. I congratulate her warmly and wish her a successful and a powerful tenure. The theme, Beyond Limits, is both timely and thought-provoking. It invites us to reflect on the boundaries that give law its legitimacy, and at the same time on the limitations which we must have the courage to overcome if our profession and justice system are to meet the demands of a changing society. The legal profession necessarily operates within boundaries. The Constitution defines the exercise of public power. The law protects individual rights. Judicial ethics guide the exercise of judicial authority, and professional rules regulate the conduct of counsel. These boundaries are fundamental to the rule of law. There are, however, limitations that can arise from complacency, convention, or an unwilling to change. These are the limitations that we must continually examine. The world in which we practice is changing rapidly. Technology is transforming legal research, case management, and the delivery of legal services. While artificial intelligence is raising new technical questions, both for the bar and the bench, we must be prepared to understand this development and use them responsibly. The Nigerian judiciary, under my watch, has already begun taking concrete steps in this direction. At the Supreme Court, we recently launched the Nigerian Case Management System, NCMS, and commenced the implementation of a new electronic regime for the management and filing of cases. The practice directions on the mandatory electronic submission of processes and records took effect from July 1st, 2026, making an important step in our effort to modernize the administration of justice. I recognize that Supreme Court is not alone in this endeavor. Several courts across the country have already embraced aspects of digitalization and electronic case management, demonstrating that our judiciary is increasingly responding to the demands of a changing technological environment. The implementation of the NCMS at the Supreme Court nevertheless represents a significant further step in this direction. At the Apex Court, we have a responsibility not only to improve our own processes, but also, where possible, to provide leadership and demonstrate what can be achieved through the responsible application of technology. It is my hope that the Supreme Court experience will encourage and provide further impetus to those courts that are yet to take the necessary steps towards digitizing their processes and adopting a more efficient system of case management. These reforms are intended to make our processes more efficient, improve case management, and make the court more responsive to the needs of litigants and counsel. They will, of course, require adjustment, learning, and cooperation from all of us. Change is rarely without its challenges, but we must be willing to embrace those challenges where the ultimate objective is a more efficient and accessible justice system. The journey towards a digital-enabled judiciary will necessarily be progressive, with each court adopting its system to its particular circumstances. But the direction must remain clear. We must continually seek better, faster, and more accessible ways of delivering justice. The success of these reforms will therefore depend not merely on the technology itself, but on our collective willingness as bench and bar to adopt to new ways of working. As we embrace technology, however, we must never lose sight of the human being at the center of justice. Behind every case file is a person. There may be a family waiting for closure, an accused person whose liberty is at stake, a business struggling to survive, or a citizen seeking protection from abuse of power. Whatever advances we make, justice must remain humane. This places a shared responsibility upon the bench and bar. We occupy different positions, but we are partners in the administration of justice. A judge must remain independent, impartial, faithful to the law, while counsel must represent claims fearlessly, competently, and ethically. The strength of one institution contributes to the strength of the other. We must also remain conscious of the experience of the ordinary litigant. For many Nigerians, justice can still appear costly, slow, and difficult to navigate. We must therefore continue to ask ourselves how our courts can become more accessible. how unnecessary delay can be reduced, how technology and improved case management can make the justice system more responsive. The bar has an indispensable role in this process. The lawyer of the future must combine legal competence with technological awareness, sound judgment, professional discipline, and unwavering commitment to ethics. Sometimes, going beyond a limitation begins with something as simple as raising the standard of our own conduct, preparing properly for cases, respecting the time of the court, giving clear, honest advice, and pursuing arguments that have a proper foundation in law and fact. We must always remain willing to learn. The law evolves with society and new technologies, new forms of commerce, and changing social realities will continue to present questions that previous generations could not have anticipated. Experience should deepen our wisdom while leaving our minds open to possibilities. As you consider the theme of this conference, you must remember that there are principles from which the legal profession must never depart. The Constitution, the rule of law, judicial independence, professional ethics, fairness, and respect for human dignity. Our task is to preserve these foundations while finding better ways of delivering justice. The Nigerian bar has a proud tradition and possesses immense talent. Let us use that talent to strengthen our institution, improve access to justice, and restore confidence wherever it has been weakened. Let us have the courage to examine what we do, acknowledge what needs improvement, and make the changes that our profession, our country require. Ultimately, the measure of our success will be found in the experience of the citizen who comes before the court seeking justice. If that citizen can approach our institution with confidence, receive a fair hearing, and live with the assurance that he or she has been treated with dignity, then we will have moved beyond many of the limitations that confront us. I congratulate the Nigerian Bar Association once again on this conference and wish all delegates fruitful deliberations and memorable gathering. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Please put your hands together one more time for the Chief Judge of Rivers State, representing the CJN. Thank you so much, sir. You've now given us more than enough as we journey beyond limits. And events like the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association draws together distinguished individuals from the 36 states of Nigeria. And so we'll be recognizing some important dignitaries that are in our midst. Please, I would like for you to make welcome, with a round of applause, Professor Wahab Egbewole. He's the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ilorin, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please put your hands together for him. Also representing the Governor of Lagos State is Mr. Adebayo Harun, Esquire. He's the Director of Public Prosecutions. Please put your hands together for him. Because this is a national event and we have the Executive Governor of Rivers State, we also have the Executive Chairman of Opobo Nkoro Local Government in Rivers State, Honorable James A. James Esquire. Please put your hands together for the Executive Chairman of that local government. We also like to recognize the country Vice President and National President of FIDA, Mrs. Eliana Martins. Please put your hands together for her. Earlier on, we made mention of the 32nd and 33rd president of the Nigerian Bar Association. But we also have in our midst the 18th and the 19th. Please join me and make welcome here TJ Okpoko, the 18th president of the NBA. Please put your hands together for him. He was also a past chairman, body of benchers. Thank you so much, sir. We also have Nigeria's current ambassador to Ireland with a concurrent accreditation to Iceland. No other person than OCJ Okocha, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please celebrate him. Thank you so much, sir. Remember, we said we are representing the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We've saved the best not for last. Please put your hands together for His Royal Majesty Albert Akpomuje, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He's the chairman of the body of benchers and the Oloworode of Olomu Kingdom. Please put your hands together for the chairman, body of benchers. Thank you so much, Leonard Silk. It's a privilege to have you in our midst. Now, just backstage, I heard some interesting statistics. The annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association is not just a national event, it is an international event. I just read backstage that this is the largest gathering of lawyers in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for yourselves. We are not just national, we are now international. And we'll also like to recognize some international guests that have made it all the way from Cameroon, from Uganda, and from all across the world. Please put your hands together for the Bar Secretary and the Treasurer of the Cameroon Bar. Please forgive my French. Zangwe Serges Martin and Fuegom Adeline. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you so much for coming around. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to continue with our goodwill messages. And now we are going internationally because we are an international bar. Please put your hands together for the President of the Commonwealth, Mr. Stephen Tiru, as he makes his way to the stage for his goodwill message. A round of applause for Mr. Stephen Tiru. Make that better, make that better. We are an international body. Let's welcome our international guests well. Mr. Stephen Tiru. Is Mr. Stephen Tiru here with us? Okay. In the absence of Mr. Stephen Tiru, can we have the President of the Ugandan Law Society? Please put your hands together for the President of the Ugandan Law Society as he makes his way to the stage for his goodwill message. A round of applause. A round of applause. Make that better for him till he gets to the stage. We're an international bar right now. We have over 25,000 members registered and watching this event. Thank you so much, sir. All right.
What a surprise.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Thank you. Fine. Okay. My Lord Chief Justice, Your Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, the President of the Nigeria Bar Association, Mr. President Emeritus, Honorable George Ware, Your Excellency, and all guests present here, I stand on the protocol already established by the chairman of the organizing committee. It's a great honor for me to stand in for the president of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. My name is Isaac Semakade, president of the Uganda Law Society. Once again, I thank the Nigeria Bar Association leadership for this auspicious opportunity. On behalf of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, I would like to say that we take a moment of silence to think about colleagues we have lost, but most especially Professor Jason Ade. Thank you very much. People have the right not to be normal, and people have the right to do their work, as long as the first doesn't affect the execution of the other. People should be left to do their work in peace. Dr. Jason Ade began working as a senior academic at Britain's Cambridge University just 3 years ago. Today, he's no more. His passing, presumed to be a suicide, comes as a result of work-related stress, which culminated into a bullying campaign against him in the UK online and establishment media. From the day of his appointment as a distinguished professor of sociology at the University of Cambridge, doubts were loudly expressed about Dr. Ade's competence and credentials. He was eventually publicly accused of cheating in the course of acquiring his PhD. Even after being cleared by the university that granted it, the shedding continued. Intense scrutiny was applied to all aspects of Dr. Ade's public profile. He was then heavily persecuted for any and all inconsistencies and exaggerations. The embellishments were used to raise doubts and speculation about his mental health. The inconsistencies were used to further cast aspersions on his academic achievements. In the end, Dr. Ade resigned from his post, but the media witch hunt continued. 188 articles about him in 9 days after his resignation. It only got worse. Having sensed victory, the drivers of this witch hunt only pressed harder. Now he is gone. It would be pointless now to condemn this on the British and American media and public sphere who have contributed to this situation. Their motives were always clear and straightforward. It was naked racism, and they are not about to change. That is why it gives me a great honor to share a platform with our keynote guest speaker, His Excellency George Weah, whose record, as we shall probably learn, shares confluence with Dr. Ade's life. But we are grateful that Weah is alive to tell the story of going beyond these limits. This demonstrates the importance of natural justice for us lawyers. Any person suspected of any wrongdoing must have the right to be clearly informed of the case against them and be accorded dignity on the basis of all the evidence available. Furthermore, the accusation must be managed only by those responsible for it, those competent to handle it. For example, if a person is suspected of academic offenses, let it be only the academic authorities to handle the process. If the matter is outside academia, then the academic standing of the accused should not become a determining factor. Dr. Ade suffered from the common reality of being in a place where many felt he did not deserve to belong. People of African origin working in historically white power institutions have seen this many times before. The difference is about how strong the victim of the day is and how determined the attackers are. Our condolences to his family, his friends, and faithful colleagues. Let us learn to guard our hearts and our minds better. There will always be enemies. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for the president of the Ugandan Law Society. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to be with us today. Moving very quickly, still recognizing some of our distinguished guests, we would like to recognize the presence of the Chairman, Council of Legal Education, Chief Emeka Ngige, OFR, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause. Moving very quickly and taking us to the next part of this particularly national event, we would like to recognize and welcome for a goodwill message, Lieutenant General W. Shoaibu. He is the Chief of Army Staff, NMA, and he's ably represented by Major General E.I. Okoro, General Officer Commanding 6th Division. Please put your hands together for Major General E.I. Okoro as he comes on stage for his 3 minutes goodwill message. Thank you so much, sir. Make that better, make that better, make that better. These are the men that ensure Nigeria is well protected. Thank you so much, sir. We are honored by your presence.
The keynote speaker, His Excellency George Opongwe, former President Liberia, His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara, Executive Governor of Rivers State, the Senate President, ably represented, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and other justices here present, the President, Nigerian Bar Association, His Eminence, the Shehu of Borno, and other royal fathers here present, members of the Nigerian Bar Association, the Director, Legal Service, Nigerian Army, and other military lawyers here present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am Major General E.I. Okoro, the General Officer Commanding 6th Division Nigerian Army, and it is my singular honor and privilege to represent the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General W. Shaibu, Nigerian Army Medal, at this very auspicious event. So, with your kind permission, Your Excellency, I will proceed to present the goodwill message of the Chief of Army Staff at this event. I bring you warm greetings from the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, Nigerian Army Medal. and the officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army. It is my distinct honor on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff to deliver his goodwill message at this year's annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. The theme, Beyond Limits, is both timely and inspiring, particularly in the historic and hospitable city of Port Harcourt. It speaks to the courage, resilience, and determination required of all institutions and professionals committed to building a stronger and a more secure Nigeria. This theme resonates strongly with the Nigerian Army, whose constitutional responsibility requires us to operate beyond the limits of difficult terrain, evolving threats, and personal comfort in the service of our dear nation. However, national security extends beyond the battlefield. It also depends on the rule of law, sound institutions, justice, and the protection of fundamental human rights. The Nigerian Army therefore remains committed to conducting its operations within the Constitution and applicable laws. We recognize the Nigerian Bar Association as a vital partner in strengthening democracy, safeguarding civil liberties, and ensuring that security operations are conducted professionally, responsibly, and with due regard for human rights. In confronting contemporary threats, we must equally look beyond traditional approaches by embracing evolving technology, credible intelligence, interagency cooperation, and innovative solutions. I therefore commend the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mazi Afam Osigwe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, the National Executive Council, and the Conference Planning Committee for organizing this very important gathering. I also appreciate the government and people of Rivers State for their hospitality and support in hosting this prestigious conference. As you deliberate on issues of national importance, I encourage greater collaboration between the legal and the security communities in promoting justice, protecting the vulnerable, and strengthening national security. The Nigerian Army, on its part, will continue to work closely with the bar, the judiciary, and other institutions of states in pursuit of a safer, more just, and prosperous Nigeria. Let us, therefore, collectively rise beyond existing limitations and continue to give our best in the service of our great nation. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Rivers State, and the Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for your goodwill message. Quickly, I'd like to re-invite, we're so very sorry, my Lord, the Honorable Justice of Rivers State, Honorable Justice Simeon Amadi, for his own goodwill message, my Lord. Let's make him welcome, please. Earlier on, he had taken the goodwill message of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And so In his own right, he will be doing his own goodwill message. Thank you, my Lord.
Okay. That's okay. Your Excellency, George Weah, former President of Liberia and keynote speaker of this conference. Your Excellency, Sir Similaye, former GSSRS, Governor of Rivers State, and members of his entourage. May I seek your leave to adopt all other protocols. It is with great pleasure, sincere goodwill, and profound sense of honor that I welcome you and extend my cordial greetings and felicitations to the leadership and members of the NBA and participants on the opening ceremony of the 66th Annual General Conference, holding in the Garden City of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. On behalf of the Rivers State Judiciary, I cordially welcome you all to Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The Annual General Conference of NBA over the years has been a forum where the NBA demonstrates its corporate essence or core objectives to unite legal practitioners for professional development, policy debate, and institutional reforms. This annual conference serves as the umbrella of Nigeria's largest gathering of lawyers, addressing issues of law, state of our justice system, defense of democratic values in Nigeria, charting the future directions of the legal profession, and engaging critical national discourse on national questions. To this end, I commend the enterprising and proactive leadership of Mazi Afam Osigwe, SAN, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, and his executive. During his tenure, Afam Osigwe, as president, transformed his incumbency to the realization of the noble mission or objectives or ideas of the NBA. We celebrate your professionalism, integrity, and standard-setting contributions to the office of the president of NBA. You were prompt in constructive criticism of policies of government and actions of persons and authorities, and also ready in defense of fundamental rights of citizens in deserving circumstances and illustrious legacy of activism. Verily, the bar in the past 2 years lived up to the theme of the 2025 Annual Bar Conference, stand out, stand tall, unquote, which was a clarion call for members of the legal profession to rise with courage to their commitment to justice, integrity, rule of law, innovation, and dynamic leadership in Nigeria. Let me congratulate the NBA on the sinless election of 18th of July 2026, and also congratulate the incoming 33rd President, Mrs. Badijo Okosia, SAM, and the executive on their successful election in a keenly contested NBA election. The theme of this 2026 NBA 66 Annual Conference, I quote, Beyond Limits, invite the NBA as a body and the incoming president to walk or go beyond set boundaries, break through restrictions or what seemed impossible. In the years ahead, the incoming president is called upon to exceed or go beyond the predecessor's achievements and limits. There are critical national issues that deserve attention and stand out as a wake-up call to intense proactivity. The 2027 general election in Nigeria, which is barely 5 months away, is uppermost. The NBA carries grave responsibility to the nation before, during, and after the election. The NBA carries great responsibility to the nation before, during, and after the election as a veritable stakeholder in our democratic transition. At this critical point, society increasingly looks onto the judiciary and the bar for fairness and stability. We must not fail the nation. Political parties and their candidates should be told that no ambition, however legitimate, is worth human life and the peace of the nation. NBA, as always, played the noble and nationalistic role of contributing to fair, transparent, credible, peaceful, and successful elections in Nigeria in 2027. The bench and bar are twin pillars in the administration of justice in Nigeria. Their ultimate objectives remain the same: the attainment of justice and the protection of human rights and liberties of the citizenry. For the good of our nation and the noble profession, it is imperative that the bench and the bar continue to promote cordial relationships founded on mutual respect, professionalism, shared commitment to justice and courtesy. I wish to place on record that the Rivers State Judiciary enjoyed robust support or harmonious relationship with NBA National and all the 9 branches of NBA in Rivers State, especially in their continued advocacy for judicial independence and access to justice. The bar must respond to changing circumstances of the world. We live in an age where technology of AI is increasingly affecting legal practice and administration of justice. There is the pressing need for the bench and the bar to embrace innovation and technology in the administration of justice to enhance efficiency, reduce delays, and promote access to justice, but with acknowledgement of the ethical limits and challenges. As we all gather for this conference, I appeal to participants to uphold the highest standard of professional conduct as eyes are watching, ears are open to hear, and mouths are ready to comment on the conduct of the conference and participants. We need no reminder that the future of the Nigerian legal profession and indeed the future of Nigeria's democracy significantly rests on our shoulders. Let me appreciate the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association for the choice of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, as the venue of this 66th annual conference of NBA. We know what happened last year. Rivers State is the treasure base of the nation, where its people and visitors are treasured. With the admirable hospitality of Rivers people and the government of Rivers State under His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara, GSSRS, the governor of Rivers State, I assure you that your stay will be safe, socially enjoyable, and your conference intellectual stimulating. Once again, I welcome you to Rivers State. I wish you all a joyous and memorable stay in Port Harcourt and journey message to your destination thereafter. Long live NBA, long live the judiciary, long live Rivers State, long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge of Rivers State. We are grateful. Thank you so very much. Now, before I invite this man to the stand, I'd like us to please note that we still have some speakers, a few of them left. We're yet to take the keynote speaker and also the governor of Rivers State, who will be declaring this conference open. This man, since he came into office, has visited almost all the branches in the country. There's no state in the country he has not touched. And he has been very proactive. He is a man in whom we're well pleased. Most of us would not agree, or maybe few of us would not agree. This man is not just my president, is our president. He's the 32nd president of the Nigerian Bar Association. To you is Mr. President. To us is Uncle Lulu. He's the golden boy. Ladies and gentlemen, please can we give him a rousing ovation? I welcome the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Nazi Afam Osigwe, SAN, to do his address. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency George Oponwe, past president of Liberia, Your Excellency Amopu Senebo, sir, Siminalai James Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, the royal father of the day, His Eminence, Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Ibn Umar El Kanemi, CFR, FNE, FNAL, Chairman Borno State Council of Chiefs, the Chairman of the Body of Benchers, His Royal Majesty Albert Apamuje, the GOC 6th Division, representing the Chief of Army Staff, past presidents of the NBA, Chief T.O. Boko, OCJ Okocha, SN, both of them, Olumide Akpata, the President-elect of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mrs. Oyinkansola Badejo Okusoya, SN, the Chief Judge of Rivers State, Honorable Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi. Let me adopt the already established protocol. Time is fast spent. I thought by 6 p.m. we'll be here out of this place, but I think I was being very optimistic. I address you all with great honor and joy at this opening ceremony of the Nigerian Bar Association's 66th Annual General Conference taking place in this beautiful city of and welcoming and warm city of Port Harcourt. It's good to be back here. This town is fondly called PH, Prakot, Pitaqua, among so many other names. It's a beautiful city. And when you note so many names by which the town is known, it shows you the different perspectives and we are seen by the different age groups and how people fondly look forward to see, and also called PH. It is also known as Nigerian's Garden City. So we are in the Garden City. This town was originally selected to be the host city of the conference in 2025, when the unfortunate incident of the declaration of state of emergency occurred. We thought that the circumstances were such that we could not rightly hold our conference under the leadership of a sole administrator, and in keeping with our motto of promoting the rule of law, we opted out of hosting the conference in this city, but with a promise that whenever the democratic rule and governance return to the state, we would be back. When the governor, who is here present here today, was reinstated, we thought that it was only meet and proper for us to return to the city, because we made a promise and we had to keep that promise. When the chairman of the annual general conference said agreement is agreement, I thought to myself, some agreements are immoral and may not be kept. So not all agreements are agreements. But then, I digress. We chose as the theme for this year's annual general conference, Beyond Limits, as a call to action. Now, many of us are held back by obstacles that are either physical, real, imagined, or mental. And we thought that there is need for us to remind Nigerians that if you believe you can do it, you can. And that if you believe you cannot do it, you probably may not. Years ago, I came across a saying that if you throw your heart over the bar, then your body will follow. Meaning you can't overcome any obstacle which you have not believed you are capable of overcoming. And we are urging Nigerians to go beyond limits. And in doing this, we are reminded that when Nigeria gained independence on October 1st, 1960, there were a lot of hopes that Nigeria was going to be the beacon of Africa, was going to be like the lighthouse that was going to guide many African nations to greatness. 66 years after, and this is our 66th annual General Conference, that hope remains to be realized. I hope Nigeria was then also called the giant of Africa. And sometimes it feels like telling Nigeria, oh giant, awake. But you have great potentials which you are yet to fully achieve. May I remind us that this optimism that Nigeria will be the greatest nation out of Africa and the greatest black nation in the world was founded on a few optimisms. And I will share some of them. Constitutional democracy. There was the belief that Nigeria had parliamentary democracy and federalism, and that it would successfully harmonize Nigeria's diverse ethnic and regional identities to forge the people into one. 66 years after, ethnicity, religion, and the things that were thought to be our strength have actually gone to weaken us. We have tribal cleavages which have made development very difficult. We don't think of ourselves as a nation. We first think as members of our ethnic or religious group and hardly think of the best interest of Nigeria. We are first parochial, and the sense of nationhood is not as high as it should be. There were world-class institutions. Some universities were being built, and Nigerians were attaining prominence in different parts of the world. And we had politicians who had shown such greatness and vision that they were expected to shape the way for Africa. And then the rule of law was also thought Nigeria, the establishment of competent judiciary and public service designed to steer a self-reliant and sovereign state would be among the strengths that would make Nigeria that giant of Africa, so that we will not only bear the name, but justify that appellation. Let me explain why in his independent address on October 1st, 1960, the then Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, captured the optimism of that moment when he observed, it seemed that we were destined to move with quiet dignity to our place on the world stage. I don't need to tell you or be the ones to answer the question whether we have moved with quiet dignity or dignity at all, or whether we have attained our place in the world stage. Yet acknowledging the challenges that had already begun to emerge, he noted that recent events had changed the scene beyond recognition, leaving the country being tested to the utmost. Even then, he remained confident in the Nigerian spirit, declaring, "We shall not fall for want of determination. And we come to this task better equipped than many." Those were some of the hopes held out for Nigerians, and in many respects, the black race. 66 years later, Nigeria continues to bear the title Giant of Africa, and through its population of over 220 million people and its prominent role in shaping Africa's political, economic, and cultural landscape. Yet, while Nigeria has not fully achieved the expectations and dreams of its fathers, it still possesses the potential to do so and to become one of the leading countries of the world. Our potential, however, has remained latent, out of focus, and at times, seemingly a mirage. As lawyers, we are custodians of the promise of Nigeria. We must therefore look beyond the familiar and focus on African leadership, democratic consolidation, institutional reform, and regional integration, particularly as Nigeria and other African countries approach critical political transitions. To go beyond limits, both as a nation and as members of the legal profession, we must venture beyond the usual borders. We must sometimes undertake what appear impossible to reach and achieve our goals We must push through our limitations and beyond our comfort zones. There will be no shortcuts. There will be no excuses. There will be no appeal to pity. Whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. Going beyond limits requires that we constantly push ourselves and refuse to settle for the average. When we encounter resistance, it may seem difficult to overcome, but by pushing a little harder, we can accomplish great things. And often once we have done so, we look back and wonder why we ever thought the challenge was as difficult as it appeared. We must not allow limits to determine what we can achieve. Those who achieved greatness faced obstacles, but they were able to achieve greatness by overcoming those obstacles, by having a vision and planning, and by so doing, they succeeded. This is not the moment for the bar. This is the moment for the bar to lead in defending the Constitution, strengthening institutions, deepening access to justice, driving economic reform, promoting national security through the rule of law. And in this, I agreed with the representative of the COAS. We shall work with the armed forces. Nigeria is at a critical time. We are faced by different challenges. It is not enough to criticize. We must give constructive suggestions and sit down to make for a better Nigeria, where government is able to achieve the injunction in the Constitution, Section 14(2), that is security and the welfare of the people is the primary aim of government. We have been here for the past few days and we're having a good time, and I'm sure we'll continue to have it. But no matter the joy we have, no matter the good times we have, let us remember that sometimes good times make for weak men, and weak men make for hard times. That is quoting the founder of Dubai, reminding us about how his father rode a camel, he rode a car. His grandchild rides a Land Rover, and how his great-grandchild will ride a camel, because good times bring soft men, weak men, and weak men make for hard times. Let us remember that justice delivery through technology, court reform, and clearing the backlog of cases are some of the things that if we achieve as lawyers, as members of the legal profession, we will go beyond limits. That the society looks up to us for justice before the court. And I think it was Othman Danfodio that said that while a people may exist without religion, they cannot survive without justice. And the people are looking up to the courts, and we owe it a duty to the society to go beyond limits to ensure that justice rolls down like a river, and most of the crimes and things we see in the society that destabilize us will become a thing of the past. The rule of law must be the foundation of national security, and the Nigerian first and the legal profession must observe the highest level of ethical conduct, because nobody will trust a legal profession that is seen not to be any different from a criminal enterprise. This conference therefore provides an opportunity not merely to examine the challenges confronting our nation and profession, but to ask the harder questions. What must we do differently to move beyond them? That's why I talked about not only identifying challenges, but profiling solutions. What do we do to make for a better society? Our keynote speaker is Excellency George Manneh Opongwe, former president of Liberia and winner of Ballon d'Or. His life story is a remarkable masterpiece in resilience, determination, discipline, and purpose. From playing football barefoot in the swampy slums of Clara Town, Monrovia, where he was raised by his devoutly Christian grandmother, Emma Clonijare Brown, alongside 13 siblings. If I didn't get that name right, you forgive me. I'm sure you may encounter similar difficulties when you deal with our own names. Where went on to become a global football icon and the president of Liberia. His journey began amid severe poverty. To escape the hardship around him, he channeled his energy into football, honing his skills on the dusty streets of Monrovia, while playing for local semi-professional teams such as Mighty Barrel and Invincible 11. You've come a long way, sir. He also worked as a switchboard technician for the Liberia Telecommunications Corporation. His breakthrough came when he signed for the Cameroonian club, Tonero Yaoundé. His talent soon caught the attention of AS Monaco manager Arsène Wenger, who brought him to Europe in 1988, launching an extraordinary 14-year European club career that includes some of the biggest clubs in the world. Yet, while enjoying massive fame and success in Europe, I think he deserves a round of applause. Where remained deeply devoted to his homeland, which at the time was being ravaged by brutal civil wars. He served as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador and personally committed millions of dollars of his own resources to provide equipment, travel, and other support for the Liberian national team, the Lone Star. He nearly coached and captained the underfunded team to a historical World Cup. If he's willing, he will tell the story of part of that dream was that year in Port Harcourt. But I leave that for him to tell the story. And in the process, helped transform it into a rare symbol of national unity. We chose him as our keynote speaker because his life reminds us that background does not determine destiny. That where you're starting from will not determine where you're going to. That where you'll get to is dependent on what you make of yourself. How resilient you are, refusing to give up, refusing to be intimidated, believing in your dreams and going on to achieve your dreams. His story demonstrates that resilience, determination, discipline, focus, and purpose can fundamentally alter the trajectory of an individual's life and ultimately contribute to its transformation, to the transformation of a nation. This is the spirit of Nigeria and the legal profession. This is the spirit that Nigeria and the legal profession must now embrace. The 2026 Annual General Conference is therefore not merely a gathering, it is a charge. I particularly acknowledge the unquantifiable support of His Excellency the Governor of Rivers State, who told me when we made the decision to come back, he said, Mr. President, I will do everything within my power to ensure that you host a successful conference in that. Call me at any time, tell me what the problem is, and I will make sure that we'll solve it. Even up to a few minutes before the commencement of this conference, he kept that promise. You needed to have seen parts of this stadium some months back, but here we are. We are not charged any money, and the governor had supported us in many, many ways. Your Excellency, we are very grateful. You are indeed a man of honor, and history will continue to be very kind to you. You have left your footprints in the sands of time, and they can never be washed off. May God continue to bless and uplift you. Our keynote speaker, you made sacrifices to be here. You left your family in a holiday after a tedious time at the World Cup to be here. You made a promise to us when we visited you, and you kept that promise. When I finish this address, I'll go back to my chair after His Excellency has declared this conference open to eagerly await your keynote address. And I hope that it will challenge all of us to know that success is a process, it never ends. And no matter what may be your story today, it can change for the better and for the best. Your Eminence, when we visited your palace and ambushed you by requesting that you be the royal father of the day, you did not hesitate. Even when situations presented themselves such that you need to be in Maiduguri tomorrow, at great difficulty and sacrifice, not only have you come here, you can come with your friend, the chief. I don't know his name, but I love your regalia, sir. And you're here, Your Eminence, showing that leadership is about sacrifice and that a leader's word must be his bond. And to the good people of Maiduguri, whom you have led as part of the El Kanemi dynasty, we have nothing but gratitude for them. Thank you so very much for being here. The members of the Conference Planning Committee have labored for us to get there. Members of the Executive Committee, whom I've had the honor of leading for almost these 2 years. And this will be the last time I will stand before an annual general conference of the NBA to address it as its president. And I can't wait for Mrs. Badejo Okunsoya to take over from me. When she saw me a while before the conference commenced, she said, Mr. President, you look very excited. I said, yes, I do. I can't wait to hand over to you. We thank the members of the local organizing committee. But my greatest gratitude goes to the good people of Rivers State who have allowed us to inconvenience them. We've displaced them from their hotels, from their recreation facilities. We've clogged their roads. And yet they opened up their arms to welcome us. And also to Almighty God, who has ensured that the reigning Port Harcourt has held on to allow us get on with this conference. And my Lord the Chief Judge, I already apologize to you and express our gratitude to you and members of the judiciary. And before leaving, I will express my apology. Our sitting arrangement is not at its best. We could have got it better. In subsequent programs, we try to do so. That is not a slight to those who ought to have been given some special places. But know that we equally love you, and we're happy that you're here. Let us make this conference not a talk shop, but something that challenges us to make for a better Nigeria, to make the legal profession to count, so that people will not really ask and believe, why do we really need lawyers? Waiting lawyers, they do serve. Thank you all so very much for listening to me. Thank you for being a part of this. May God continue to be with us. And may the Nigerian Bar Association and Indeed Nigeria continually go beyond limits. God bless all of us.
Have you seen a more passionate president? A past General Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association. A barman par excellence. Again, he has spoken truth to power. Thank you, my president. Thank you so very much, sir. Can we give him another round of applause, please? Thank you, my president. We are proud of you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are not excited that you are leaving us, but we are also excited that Mrs. Badejo Okunsoya, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, will be taking over the helm of affairs from you as NBA President. A round of applause for Mrs. B. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to an important part of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I want you with all excitement to welcome on stage to this very podium the Executive Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, GSSRS, for his welcome address. Please, a round of applause. A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause for our chief host in the Garden City of Port Harcourt as he comes to officially make the event open. You can do better than this. You can do better than this. I want to hear an applause. I want a standing ovation. Thank you very much, sir.
Like a man who came prepared for leadership, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has left his
just
on nearly every community and every sector.
Your Excellency, the former president of Nigeria, George Weah, and also the keynote speaker of this very special event, the NBA Annual Conference. The Chief Judge of the Federation, ably represented by our own Chief Judge of Rivers State, the President of the Court of Appeal and other judges that are here, justices that are here, members of the National Assembly, members of the Federal Executive Councils that are here, the President of NBA, and also His Eminence Ishewu Obronu, who is the royal father of this event, and other monarchs that are here with us. Past presidents of MBAs, and also the incoming president of MBA. Learned senior advocates, members of the body of benchers,
the service commanders that are here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow this protocol because maybe if I start calling too much, I might run into trouble, so I have to be a bit careful. But I believe I've recognized every other person that is here, one way or the other. It is a great honor for me, on behalf of the government and people of Rivers State, to welcome all lawyers from across the country to Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State, for this Nigerian Bar Association 2026 Annual General Conference. Likewise, I warmly welcome all the international delegates and friends of the MBAs from across Africa and beyond who have come to Port Harcourt for this year's Annual Lawyers Conference, which is reputed to be the largest gathering of legal practitioners in Africa. I wish to express my thanks and appreciation to the outgoing president, Mazi Afam Osigwe, the National and his National Executive Committee of the NBA, for bringing this esteemed conference to Port Harcourt once again. I wish to recall that Port Harcourt was scheduled to host this conference last year, that it was sadly moved to Enugu due to the state of emergency and the suspension of democratic rule and institution in the state. Thank goodness, I have since returned to my office as the governor. And I am honored today to host and address this distinguished assembly of lawyers, magistrates, judges, academics, public officials, private entrepreneurs, and administrators, all united as members of this noble profession. Let me therefore say again that we are pleased to host this conference and delighted that you are here in such large numbers, which further confirms Rivers State's enduring peace, security, and commercial transformation as Nigeria's second largest economy. We are aware we assure you of your continuous safety and security throughout this conference. We have also partnered effectively with your leadership to ensure that you have a peaceful, successful, and memorable national conference in Port Harcourt. The business of the day. In a democratic society like ours, the legal system sets out the rule of conduct and the basis for relationship between government, public, and private institutions, and also the public. The ultimate aim of law is to protect and advance citizens' security and their well-being by assuring equity before the law, safeguarding the fundamental human rights of all, and fostering an environment conducive to social economic activities and national development. Therefore, it is evident that order, peace, and meaningful human progress prevail wherever the law is treated as sovereign. Whereas denying the sanctity of the rule of law through democracy and good governance negate the high logic of civilized existence and a recipe for social disaster. Apart from the rule of law, the judiciary is also essential to any country seeking to foster true democracy, good governance, and economic development. For the courts are not merely venues for resolving social disputes. They serve as the ultimate refuge for all, including the common man, like myself, to presume true justice, accountability, human dignity, and the enforcement of their legal and constitutional rights and obligations. This means that judges responsible for the administration of law and justice must consider overall impact of their judgment on the polity. Because law, order, and the rate of national development are inextricably linked to the quality of justice the courts can deliver with integrity. Consequently, we expect that our judges should not be mere apologists or conformists if they are to be the ultimate guardian of our democracy, the rule of law, and the advancement of peace and good governance in our country. Furthermore, public confidence in the quality of our judiciary is enhanced when our judges demonstrate sound knowledge of the law and excellent legal reasoning, coupled with the courage, commitment, and integrity to hold the government and the governed equally accountable to the Constitution and the rule of law, and to ensure that nothing but the truth prevail at all times, irrespective of the party, status, or social affiliation. This is perhaps the only way to ensure that justice is not merely an ideal, but one that can transform our society by being present in the life of our nation and of every citizen, including those at society margin, not just the privileged few. As a layman, I am compelled to agree with the description of lawyers as the subtle nerve of the nation's spine, because the legal profession is not merely a business or a source of high social status. It is a profession with a moral and legal duty to safeguard our Constitution, promote the rule of law, and defend ordinary citizens' rights to good governance and equal protection under the law. It is said that in terms of uncertainty, particularly when political power attempts to overreach the Constitution and the rule of law, it is the courage of the legal profession that can intervene to nip such aberration in the bud and ensure that the process of power is not used to circumvent the law of the land and the value of democracy. Therefore, for me, the lawyer's greatest duty is to have the conscience, commitment, and the courage to speak truth to power, to defend citizens' rights, to undiluted justice, and to protect public institutions that are under attack, being weakened, or abused. In this context, I see the theme of this conference, Beyond Limits, as an inspiring challenge to lawyers. As ministers and custodians of the sacred temple of justice, to rise above real or perceived constraint to protect the Constitution and advance the people's inherent rights to democracy and good governance. We cannot continue to insulate that law from today's reality. Not possible. Rather, should justice remain shackled by unjust precedents, technicalities, inadequate access, undue delays, slavish adherence to rigid processes, political manipulation, or brazen corruption? The prevalence of these serious impediments to justice in our polity has damaged and continues to damage the reputation of the judiciaries and the bar. Therefore, having entered the temple and sworn to serve justice, I urge the bar and the bench, as public institutions, to reflect on their role and commit to serve the public interest with characters and compassion. Our justice system can inspire confidence among the citizenry only when judges are seen as the epitome of impartial justice, equity, and fairness. In Rivers State, we understand what it means to push beyond limits. We have walked through the fires of power. Many have been bruised, yet we remain unbowed to our determination to safeguard our unity, peace, progress, and are even more resolved than ever in our commitment to delivering the dividend of democracy to our people. Over the past 3 years, we have worked with the Chief Judge of Rivers State. He's here smiling to ensure that the delivery of legal and judicial services to our people. We have expanded access to justice by appointing more judges and establishing additional courts, including the construction of a federal high court, which we will hand over to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court before the end of this year. We're also doing our best to improve the security and well-being of our judges, magistrates, and state law officers. I assure you that we will continue to respect the administrative and financial autonomy of the state judiciary and work with the state chief judge to ensure that Rivers State Judiciary is ranked among the best in the country for its prompt and effective dispensation of justice. As a government, we are ready to partner with the NBA to advance our shared objective of safeguarding our Constitution, upholding the rule of law, and supporting the autonomy of the judiciary in our state. We understand firsthand that peace is the foundation of meaningful development. Accordingly, we reaffirm our unwavering commitment to peace and development and continue to support and work with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the federal government to accelerate the transformation of our dear state and that of the Niger Delta. Finally, let Port Harcourt, this is to our delegates, let Port Harcourt 2026 be remembered not only for the intellectual stimulating section you held, but also for the commitment you made, the friendship you have forged, and the resolve to go beyond limits to protect our Constitution, and advance citizen rights, democracy, and good governance. I encourage all visiting delegates not only to confine yourself to the four walls of this conference, but also take time, like the outgoing president said, explore the Garden City and enjoy its beauty, and the unmatched hospitality of Rivers State and its people. You can go to Anthony or Yorokoto to see the elephants. You can go to Emawa, you see the bird city. You can also go near my own place, Opobo, if you're a good swimmer. The river is very clean. You can do some beach walk there. Once again, I welcome you to Port Harcourt, and I wish you all a faithful and memorable conference. Thank you for your attention. May I, on behalf of who have very great personalities of Rivers State that are here, OCJ Okocha is here, your past president, former Attorney General here, Chief Adoki Amesimaka, also a footballer, like our keynote speaker, and also a former Minister for Sports, a one-time SSG when I was before the emergency rule, Dr. Danagogo, and others. Most importantly, the Chief Judge of our dear state, welcome you and also declare this conference open. May God bless everyone.
Please, another round of applause for His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, GSSRS. Please make that better, make that better. I have the kind permission of the President of the NBA to thank you specially for being a friend of the NBA, for making Rivers State very habitable that we just had to host the conference here twice. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you are still at the annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, and we've just heard from His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State, who would like to excuse His Royal Highness, the Shehu of Borno, who has an urgent flight to catch this evening, so he has to be excused to make way to the airport to catch his flight. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be handing over to Ebere.
Thank you so much, Nimi. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for. The keynote speaker. Before we call him up, I'd like to call the immediate past chairman of the annual general conference, Chief Emeka Obegulu, who is also a consultant to this annual general conference, to please do us the honors by doing the introduction of our keynote speaker, His Excellency George Weah, the former president of Liberia. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Emeka Obegulu.
We must not allow real or perceived limits to determine what we can achieve. Mazi Afam Osigwe, 2026. Obstacles, barriers exist to be overcome. Abdul Mohammed Rafindadi, 2026. Your Excellency, the former governor of Liberia, Your Excellency, the governor of Rivers State, may I seek to rest on established protocols. Today, the Nigerian Bar Association charges us to go beyond limits. And who else to speak and set the tone for this conference with the theme Beyond Limits than a man who was born exactly 6 years after Nigeria's independence on the 1st of October 1966. A man whose life exemplifies beyond limits. A man who, against all odds, rose to become the president of Liberia beyond limits. A man who won the Ballon d'Or and the FIFA World Player of the Year beyond limits. A man who won African Footballer of the Year 3 times beyond limits. A man who in 1996 was voted African Footballer of the Century by sports journalists from across the world. Beyond limits. I want you to echo with me, beyond limits. A man who, when he ventured into politics, after he left football, journalists in Liberia called him Babe in the Woods because he was newly navigating the volatile political terrain. But he did not stop there. He went beyond limits, attempted again, and became the president of Liberia. But his life also shows that it is not everything you aspire to that you win. So in 2002, when he aspired to lead his country, Liberia, to the World Cup, that aspiration brought him to this city of Port Harcourt. And he could have achieved that at the expense of our dear country, Nigeria. But again, like everything in life, God said, you cannot go beyond limit at this time. So George Weah and the national team of Liberia could not go beyond. But during the carnage in Liberia, this man led his country as the only positive image. He was also the source of life for many, and he was the nation's torchbearer during those dark days, living again beyond. As the former UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, he led the campaign to eradicate child soldiers in Liberia. He actively worked to demobilize, disarm, and reintegrate former child soldiers affected by Liberia's civil wars during the late 1990s and early 2000s beyond. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you George Mane Opongwe, the 25th President of Liberia. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. You may have your seats. First of all, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please, I'll ask for a moment of silence. This happened this morning. My former superintendent and her son died this morning. Very sad situation. I'll ask you all for a moment of silence. Thank you. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Good afternoon. Let me begin to extend warm greetings and best wishes to His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I thank him for the warm reception I have received since my arrival here in Nigeria. Our gracious host, His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara, Governor of Rivers State, Honorable Chief Lateef Asakun Kanmi Fagbemi, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Nigeria, Excellencies, Justices, and members of the Judicial Branch, honorable members of the Nigerian Parliament, other officials of the Nigerian government, the President and members of the Nigeria Bar Association, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. May I also give special recognition to my good friend and brother, Mr. Babatunde Kwame Ogala, who traveled to Liberia to encourage me to accept the honor of addressing the historic assembly. I'm glad to be here today, attending the 66th Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association here in Port Harcourt. With a membership of over 150,000, the Nigeria Bar Association is the biggest, longest, oldest, and one of the most respected professional bodies on our continent. I want to thank you for choosing a team as bold as Beyond Limits. When I first heard it, I smiled, because if my own life has taught me one thing, it is that limits are very often not the walls we think they are. They are the only edge of what someone has tried so far. I did not come here as a lawyer, and I will not pretend to be one. I grew up in the ghetto of Gibraltar in Monrovia, Liberia, where very few believe that a boy raised largely by his grandmother, who one day stand on the world's biggest football stages, or take an oath as president of the Republic of Liberia. I was told I was told in many quiet and not so quiet ways what the limits of my life were supposed to be. I did not accept them, not out of arrogance, but because the limits placed us by man are not the same as the limits placed on us by God. Beyond limits, to me, is not a slogan. It is a living testimony of life. I'm not here merely to tell you my story, but because what is true for one man can also be true for a profession and for a continent. Allow me to speak to you about two things today. First, the bar and the bench are guardians of our democracy and the dangers that threatens the guardianship in West Africa today. And second, what it means for our people and our continent to truly go beyond limits, not in slogan, but in substance. Let me start with a simple truth. I came to understand not as a student of law, but as a man who has sat in the highest office of a nation. Democracy, the ballot was meant to guard against. Leaning on the judiciary until it bends to its will. And strong army and legislative until it's become an echo chambers rather than a check on its power. A tyrant with a certificate of return is still a tyrant. Democracy, properly understood, does not end on an election night. It is tested every single day after in how power treats the courts and the parliament that exists to restrain it. I was glad to learn in preparing to come before you that your own outgoing president, Mazi Afam Osigwe, said something not long ago that I found myself nodding, as though he had seen my own notes before I wrote them. He said, democracy cannot survive on strong men. It survives on strong institutions. That sentence deserves to be written above the door of every parliament and every courtroom in West Africa. A conviction that every serious African who has held power and hope to build something that stayed after him must eventually arrive at. The rule of law is not an abstract phrase for law school lecture halls. It is the practical guarantee that the citizen rights do not depend on who is in office or what favor they can secure. That a journalist, a trader, or a student in Port Harcourt, Monrovia, or Bamako has the same protection under the law as a minister or a general. The moment that guarantee weakens, Everything else in a nation weakens with it. Investment, security, public trust, and peace itself. And here is the uncomfortable part. This danger does not only come from the coup makers who seize power in the night. It also comes from the government that call themselves democratic through budgets, manipulations, wrong appointments, and pressure on judges, and deciding that courts should be a convenient rather than a check. We have seen nations where judiciary's own budget must first pass through the executive. It is meant to hold accountable. We have seen social courts, special courts, created not to deliver justice, but to secure political outcomes. And dozens of judges dismissed in a single stroke by presidential decree. And we have seen across our region since 2020 an unsettling pattern of soldiers stepping over constitutional altogether. I raise this example because this bar to which you belong and have gathered here in your thousands cannot afford to assume that Nigeria or Liberia or any of us is somehow immune. A court decision must mean what it says without any political permission. It is what protects a nation from sliding gradually and progressively into the very condition we condemn when soldiers do it with guns. That tradition is not decoration. It is duty because protecting the independence of the court and the rights of the ordinary Nigerian citizen is protecting democracy itself here in Nigeria and across our region. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me turn to the second thing I wish to leave with you. Beyond limit is not only about defending what we have. It is about reaching for what we have not yet built. I've never believed that Africa's limits are a matter of talent. I have stood beside the funniest footballers our continent has produced and sat at negotiating tables with head of states from every corner of the earth. We Africans are not short of brilliance. We are short too often of the infrastructure and the organized will to let that brilliance connect to itself with us. This room is a proof of it. The Nigerian bar counts among its numbers some of the finest legal minds in the world, many of whom have built extraordinary careers abroad, in London, in Washington, in the Gulf. That is nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something we must be strategic about. For too long, we have called this only a brain dream, as though it is purely a loss. I ask you to think instead about brain circulation, pulling that expertise back into nation building without demanding anyone abandon what they have earned and learned abroad. Our African diaspora already sends home well over the $100 billion a year in remittances alone, more than the foreign aid and investment Africa receives combined. Imagine that seeing NJ formally invited into legal reforms and judicial mobilization as a deliberate national strategy. Because the fight against poor governance and economic deprivation is not one we can afford to enter with half our talents uncounted for. A Nigerian trained lawyer on an arbitration panel in Paris, or advancing a global institution in New York, is not lost talent. It is talent operating at the highest global standard, available to be called home if we organize that bridge for it to cross. This too is what going beyond limits must mean for us, refusing to accept that our infrastructural and governance challenges are any kind of ceiling on what is possible. I did not accept the limits the slum seems to set for me. I say this to you not as a theory, but as something I have laid. In November 2023, when the early provisional results of our runoff election made clear which way our country have voted, I did not wait for the counts to be completed or for the final result to be formally announced before I picked up the phone to congratulate my successor. There were those around me who suggested patience, who argues that a sitting president owes it to himself to contest every figure until the very last vote is satisfied. I choose otherwise. I choose to concede while the counting was still on the way, because I have always believed and still believe that the will of the people must stand above the ambitions of any one man in the democratic setting. Once elections do not follow democratic precepts, it is very dangerous for the peace and security of any country. I am told that one day's association extended its invitation to me. Its citation spoke directly of that decision of a leader who chose to put his country before his own ambition. And I want to thank the Nigerian Bar Association for that recognition. It means a great deal to me, not because I need reminding of what I did, but because it tells me that this bar understands precisely what is at stake when we insist that no office, however high, is worth more than the peace and the will of the people who confer it. If a small nation like mine can insist on that standard for itself, then surely this continent, with all its wealth of talent gathered in this very hall today, can insist on standards beyond the limits others have too often assumed for us. Let me say then, not only as a former president, but as a brother, a fellow traveler on this great continent of Africa, someone who understands deeply what it means to look at a wall of obstacles and decide to climb over it. When your leadership invited me to speak on the Team Beyond Limits, it resonated with the very core of my life journey. To go beyond limit is not a phrase reserved for athletes who breaks records or politicians who win elections. It is a daily mandate for every lawyer, every judge, every leader, and every citizen who refuses to let their present circumstances dictate their ultimate destination. Limits, more often than not, are imagination born out of fear of history or of the low expectation others have placed upon us. You already know part of my story. That boy from the slum of Monrovia in a little community called the Rock of Gibraltar, not the one between Morocco and Spain, was the Rock of Gibraltar in Monrovia. But every worldly measure, that boy was not supposed to play on the grandest stages of world football, let alone win the Ballon d'Or. He was certainly not expected to one day lead his nation democratically as president. So when I tell you that limits can be broken, I'm not offering you a theory. I'm offering you a life. How do we break these boundaries? We do it by anchoring our lives in 5 timeless, unshakable values. The first is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. In football, talent without discipline gets you benched or cut from the team entirely. In the law, brilliance without discipline leads to compromised justice. Discipline is the quiet commitment to doing what is right, what is necessary, and what is ethical, even when no one is watching. Coupled with discipline is the raw necessity of hard work, because there are no elevators to success. You must take the steps to push past the barriers of systemic corruption, weak infrastructure, or institutional inertia. We must be willing to work out our problems. As legal minds, your hard work secures the liberties of the common man and fortifies the rule of law. Yet, our labor means nothing if it is not governed by respect. Respect for the dignity of every human being, for the sanctity of our institutions, and for the constitutions that bind us. True leaders do not go beyond limits by tearing others down. We go beyond limits by lifting others up, by respecting diversity of thoughts, and by upholding the integrity of the judicial process. When you push against limits, the limit push back. That is where perseverance becomes your greatest weapon. You will face defeat. I lost election before I ever won one. I lost matches before I ever raised a trophy. Perseverance is the internal voice that says, I will rise again. For the legal profession in Nigeria and across Africa, perseverance means standing firm for justice, even when the political and social winds blow fiercely against you. Most importantly, we cannot transcend human limits without being spiritually strong. We must acknowledge a power greater than ourselves. Spiritual strength gave us moral clarity. When our choices are blurred, it gave our conscience to our intellect and soul, to our ambitions, and it reminds us that every position of leadership we hold is a temporary stewardship granted by the Almighty to serve His people. My distinguished friends, Nigeria holds a key to the promise of our whole continent. When the Nigerian Bar Association decides to go beyond limits, the legal architecture of Africa itself grows stronger. Let us commit today to breaking that chain of mediocrity, applying discipline to our crafts, hard work to our duty, respect to our peers, perseverance to our trials, and faith to our foundational values. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us all stand for the true justice, for the rule of law that builds greater unity, that make a nation more attractive to investment, and that creates a stable environment in place of internal conflict. True justice is blind. It does not know politics. It does not see family or friendship. It knows only the truth, and it interprets the law the same way, whether or not anyone is watching. Let us all interpret the law fairly and apply it more effectively. Let justice prevail and be done to all men and women, rather than spending our energy on division. The true measure of a lawyer is not how many cases you have won, how many titles you have held, or how much you earn. It is this: when the country needs courage, do you have the courage to stand? When justice needs a voice, will you give it one? And when the law itself is threatened, will you go beyond every limit to defend it? The law must never be an instrument of chaos. It must never become a weapon of war. It must remain what it was always meant to be, an instrument of remedy, of peace, of unity, and of accountability, and an instrument of humanity for transparency and for truth. My dear members of the Nigerian Bar Association, I invite you to think of yourselves as referees who interpret the law fairly and plainly as a lawyer. You must be able to protect the law whether the voice before you is rich, poor, or powerful. As the law provides, you must be able to stand in defense of those who cannot defend themselves. You must ensure that due process is honored. Let us respect the law and let us interpret it faithfully. I say to you, as with Lady Justice herself carried a scarf of substance and of justice, and let nothing tip them but the truth. My brothers and sisters, Nigerians depend on you. West Africa depends on you. Africa depends on you. The world depends on you. Democracy depends on you. And free and fair elections depend on you. So I say to all of you here today, Africa must continue in peaceful coexistence, and we must all stand up for the rule of law, stand up for fairness, stand up for impartiality, stand up for gender equality, stand up for equality, stand up for humanity, stand up for peace, and stand up for democracy, stand up against discrimination, stand up for accountability, stand up for free and fair elections. I say to you all, Nigerian Bar Association, bravo! Bravo! God bless the Nigerian Bar Association, and may God bless our beloved Africa. I thank you.
Thank you very much. No, don't worry. Thank you so very much, the keynote speaker, the former president of Liberia, for an address well delivered. Thank you. We appreciate you, sir. Stand up, lawyers. The world depends on us. Africa depends on us. Thank you so much, sir. The law must remain a remedy of an instrument for truth. We appreciate you, sir. I would like to also thank Chief Emeka Obegulu, SAN, for that very powerful introduction of our keynote speaker. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're very grateful, His Excellencies and other dignitaries here present. May I, at this stage, call on Chief Augustine Alege, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, past President, to present an award to the keynote speaker. And after that, followed by the President, Mazi Afam Osigwe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to present an award to His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, Amo Pusenebo Seminalaye Joseph Fubara. Thank you very much. And then thereafter, so I call on Chief Augustine Alege, please, sir. Yes, sir, please. To the stage, sir.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the Nigerian Bar Association, I want to thank you for your very powerful, moving and touching keynote address which you have just eloquently delivered today. On behalf of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, I present to you this plaque, which is a token with a token of appreciation from the bar that we appreciate your coming, leaving your family, even though you suffered a loss today, you are still able to come here. We thank you very much. We wish you a safe journey back home. I want to assure you that all of us who have heard you today will do our best to walk beyond limits. On behalf of all of us, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. May I call on Mrs. Oyinkansola Badejo Okunsoya, SAN, President-elect of the Nigerian Bar Association, to quickly present an award to His Excellency Amo Pusenebo Timinalaye Joseph Fubara. Thank you.
Your Excellency, it is indeed an honor in the extreme to have this opportunity to present this award on behalf of the Nigerian Bar Association. Your Excellency, we have followed your trajectory with interest, and we are grateful for the way you have stood with the Nigerian Bar Association. We're excited that we have the opportunity to repay your admiration of our association with you having you host the conference in the beautiful garden city of Port Harcourt. We listened very carefully to your address, Your Excellency, and we thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We wish you well, Your Excellency. We thank you. And on behalf of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, we present you with this plaque. We're grateful for your being here, sir.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. May I call on another past president, His Excellency Ambassador Onweze.
This is Channels Television. That was a live broadcast of the 66th Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, which held in Port Harcourt. We now return you to our normal broadcast of programs.